I came to East Stroudsburg University to play volleyball. I've been playing for the past, I want to say like 12-ish years now. So it's definitely been like a huge part of my life. I've always been into athletics. And so the recruiting process, for anyone that knows it, it's brutal, man. It's like, and there would be days where I'm like, I'm not reaching out to anyone. My parents, like, they kind of just left it into my hands. So anyways, it's a lot of work that goes into that to get recruited and, picking schools, and it's very nerve-wracking for sure. So I, decided to just pull the trigger and I went with ESU. It was an experience. My first year, I did not get playing time that I wanted because I just didn't care enough, I want to say. I was a freshman and I just kind of got up there and was like, once I didn't get like the starting position that I wanted, I kind of just was like not taking it as seriously as I should have. Then I started to pick it up because I did gain quite a few pounds, I must say. So I will say then COVID happened. And when I came home for COVID, is where it kind of starts with the gym for me. I remember kind of like looking at myself in the mirror, and my parents were just like, I mean, they weren't mean about it, but kind of like my family's just very straightforward. They just tell me how it was. And I was like, yeah, I can tell I got pretty big, and that wasn't going to fly if I wanted to be at, the top level in my sport at the time. So kind of consistently started working out every day. It started at home and hated that. So when the gym started back up, it's just something that I've gotten very close to and something that filled my time now that I quit volleyball. So the reason that I did quit volleyball, we had a good coach my freshman year. We won the PSACs. And so that's why like I've grown up with harsh coaching, because that's the best way that I've learned. My parents just kind of told me it is what it is. Like you gotta pick it up and play, or like, I don't know what to tell you. You're just not going to play. So I and I was just like, I was ready to kind of get back in the flow of where I was before recruiting, because I definitely felt like I improved so freaking much from travel ball. Shout out to my old coaches, Millers. Then they kind of stuck us with a new coach. And this is where this is what I wanted to talk a little bit about, because it still is going on. It's still relevant. And there has been, I believe, 9 girls that quit since this new coach came in. We ended up as a team, what happened was this coach did not have a good record at all coming into it. And it got to the point where everything was less about volleyball, like no volleyball, and more about friendship, fun. And, like people, like I said, like the recruiting process is like a huge investment, right? When we got stuck with that, it was just like, what the hell is this? So we did bring it up to the athletic director. A lot of things happened with, it's hard to like even know where to start body shaming a lot of the girls. I mean, it was a lot of going back and forth, literally crapping on other girls to other players. It was a lot of conversation about like how hard her life was. She's in the LGBT. I never remember all of the letters, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, that's perfectly, like, that had nothing to do with any of this until we felt like she was using that as a way to kind of like justify everything that she was doing. And I don't think that's fair to the other coaches that are out there that are great coaches and actually feel like they're getting picked on for that, or, not the same rights as everything. It would literally get to the point where like the comments that she would say to us would be, we had 2 colored players on our team, and they felt attacked all the time. The one happened to be my roommate. So it definitely stuck me a little harder in the heart for that one, because she worked her tail off, and her position, her money, scholarship, she just got a call the one day and was like, yeah, I'm taking you off the team. And she was out of state, so she was getting a good chunk of change from my previous coach. She did nothing wrong and 100% should have been starting. And I'm not being biased because she's my friend. I would tell you she sucked. So it was a lot of that. And then there would be times, where like the things that she said were just like, we would have practices completely canceled just to talk about how hard her life is, or because a girl was upset about something. And it's just like, that's not college volleyball. when it gets to the point of where we had a, I want to say 9-page document, and there's a lot. And it's just like on this call, I don't know how much I should say because there's still some things going on with the situation now. But basically the moral of the story is that I have probably had, I don't even know how many coaches throughout my life. And a lot of these other girls, obviously, that are playing college volleyball, put a lot of time, years, had a bunch of different coaches. And like, we can all agree, especially for me, like my parents know this because like I said, we're big on the athletic department and I loved my sport more than anything in the world. I would never quit over a coach. I mean, there's been a couple instances where I've had a coach that might have been, maybe had like a crappy personality, but was a good coach. Or you get a coach that might have a good personality, but they might just be a crappy coach. But I have never had one that had both. And by the sound of it, was literally going to run our program into the ground when we just had worked to win PSACs our freshman year, which is just the entire championship for the division that we were in. It's sad because a lot of us, like when we took this, we got human resources involved. This was all during finals week because she decided to get rid of our assistant coach, literally for the fact that we liked him more than her. And he was the only one who knew how to coach. And he's been there for, I don't even know how many, like so many years. And we all just literally adored him. So she got rid of him out of nowhere after she told us that she would never get rid of him. And then she also got rid of and took my my friend's scholarship money away, and she felt very targeted. So we kind of took all of this to the athletic director. We had 9 pages of direct quotes, timestamps, things from like the NCAA like manual. We had everything professionally like set up, and all of the girls on the team except about 2 showed up on the Zoom call that we had with our athletic director. I mean, there were tears of how attacked girls felt, and it was just like the fact that like everyone felt like they had to just change their lives completely over this coach. So now we present the information, and the way that by the way, the athletic director told us that we weren't allowed to have the athletic training department on the call, the strength and conditioning, no one else except for us and him, until I basically was like, we're having human resources on this call, at least, because the athletic training is because she was going behind them or over top of them and doing training that had absolutely nothing to do with volleyball. I mean, everyone's vertical went down. Everyone was completely like just not able to perform on the court because she was training us as a track team because she was an Olympic trial track player or something in the past. So tell me how that makes sense that was our coach, but she hasn't had too much experience in the volleyball department.
Do you feel like it was a blatant disregard for winning or just a really, really bad shot at it?
No, absolutely not. I think that she just wanted to be in control of everything. A lot of it just got very political. And it's like no one wants to play for a program that just doesn't care. It got to the point where it was all about control and where they kind of just let her get away with it. I mean, there were injuries, and also she, told us that we were never going to get rid of her no matter how hard we tried. And also, I think there's another thing that I don't think I covered, but the athletic director did sit up on the call and basically told us that in non-direct terms that she was hired to save his job as hiring a minority coach.
Yeah. I feel like that's become kind of a big issue just all around the board in the world.
It is, and it's a touchy topic, and it's like it's so hard because when I talk about this, I never want anyone to think that's why we didn't like her or that's not what it was at all.
Right.
It doesn't matter who it was. Like if you're a good coach, you're a good coach. If you're not a good coach, you're not a good coach. And if you don't know what you're doing, like why are you running a PSAC, division? I know it's just Division 2. And like, that's another thing that she said. She literally has quoted and just said, it's just D2. So you're telling me that the 20-some grand more that my parents spent sending me to travel, training, and all of these other girls, there were 9 females, 9 student athletes that quit this team since she got in there. And many of them were seniors. I mean, the one didn't even make it to her senior night a week before that. And it's like, this is something that like we have literally been training for our entire lives, something that we've always looked into. And another thing, like, I don't talk about like my mental health too much, and I've never had issues with it. The past year after I did quit, because they told us that they were going to be running an investigation. When we sat up on that call, they said, we're going to run an investigation. They're going to update us every week. We did not get updated once throughout the entire summer after we were all reaching out, just asking what's going on. Also, she admitted to us that she was like saying that she's on medications for a bunch of mental issues. So we brought that one up into there, and we're like, so can we just know why this woman right here with all these mental issues is running our program? It was so bad. And like all the training that, she did for me, I'm a defensive specialist, and it went against prior defensive specialist training that I've had my whole life. That came from one of like the best liberos that I would say in the country, which was my previous coach. She was on the Penn State team. She knows what the hell she's talking about and made me the player that I am. And then, Melfi, who is the coach at ESU, kind of went all against that. And I was like, she has no idea what she's talking about. So they ended up reaching out to us. I remember I was in Florida, and we got an email from the AD saying, after the investigation, we're just going to decide that I'm going to mentor her. So they didn't do anything for us. And one, we didn't trust him anymore after he literally has done nothing for us in this situation, and literally said basically that he's only hiring her to save his butt at the end of the day, so that he doesn't take the fall for firing her,
It's just bizarre to me, and it's not necessarily something that's rare is the scary thing. You see these situations, whether it be sports or business or whatever, education and other kind of, levels of education. It's become such a visual, it's the aesthetic of what is it going to look like if we do this, instead of what's the actual real outcome going to be in the world. And I feel like nobody takes into account the lives or the disadvantages to, and I don't want to call it like disadvantages of being equal, but like disadvantage of like giving somebody an opportunity that doesn't deserve it, isn't qualified for it, only is qualified because of a certain, thing that somebody else, it's, I don't know. I don't want to get too into the political side of it per se.
Right. That's how I feel as well.
But at the
like,
same time,
I hate to look at it like that.
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like it's almost unfair too, that we can't, because we're going to feel like we're in the wrong for even talking about it. And I think that's where it's become a negative too. Like if you have an opinion that's kind of like, most of your team had, hey, this just doesn't make sense. If you have that opinion in any way, shape, or form, you become the bad guy. You become like, blacklisted. You become the person that is against all the minorities or against all of the, people who are in some way, shape, or form in the media kind of being glorified as the struggling whatever. Like, and it's sad to say all that, because there are people who really do struggle. There are people who really have issues, and
that's what I'm saying. Like
it's the minority of the minority. Yeah,
exactly.
It's the minority of the minority that get kind of, that take advantage of the system, I think.
Exactly. And that's like something like I never wanted to think about it that way, but I was just like, there's no way that when we present all this information that there are this many girls affected by this, like everything's just completely thrown out the window. It's like, screw everyone's student athletic experience in college, like something that we've been looking forward to our entire lives, and something that I've literally worked my ass off for. It was literally like when he told us that she was staying, it was like a stake in the heart, because the things that we presented to them, and I don't know if she just told them and said none of that happened, but we had every single girl on that call backing it up. And we also had departments backing us up. Everyone was backing us up, and they just didn't care. That's why he said, I'm not allowing you to have any other departments on here. This is between us and him. And it was something that affected me and no one understands this, because the way that I look at it is if it was the males basketball team or the football team or one of the teams that brings in all of the money, if they even just said, we don't like this coach, they don't even probably have to back it up. That coach would be out of there within 3 seconds. And I don't know if it's because we're a smaller female team that doesn't bring in as much money, or just like no one cares. But I'm saying if there was if there was 9 basketball players that all quit at once, that would be like breaking news. I mean, it would go everywhere. But since it's us, it's like, who cares about your athletic career that you've also literally worked your ass off for your whole life? And that's literally your original question to talk about why I got into weightlifting, is because I was in a very mentally dark place for a while, because I didn't know how to adjust to the change so fast. So I had to stay active. I had to do what I had to do. I had to blow steam off. And now it's heartbreaking, because like, even if my roommates or other people that quit ask to like play volleyball, or, you know, just like go mess around and play, it's almost like I have such an animosity for it now. And it breaks my heart, because that's literally the sport that I've loved. I hate watching it. I came to the games a couple of times with my roommate, or to watch my 2 senior roommates that were still on the team. And it was just so hard to watch. And the school still has not done anything about this. And there's still a lot of girls that are dealing with the same issue and being targeted. I forgot to tell you this part. She actually got Coach of the Year.
That's crazy.
So
that's insane.
I mean, everyone was like commenting, they're like Coach of the Year, but had nine players quit. It has been a very hard topic to speak on. And I've also, you know, been so nervous to like open up about this. But, you know, when I get questions all the time, why did you quit volleyball? I would never think that you would quit over a coach. Like, you're not that type of player. And it's like, because people don't understand the actual crap that like we went through as a team. And it was not okay in the slightest. And like I said, it would be different if I've maybe only had experience with a couple other coaches. So it's hard to compare her to them. But I've had a lot, and I've known a lot of people that have had a lot of coaches. And anyone that I've talked to about this, or even said maybe one of the comments that were said, they're like mind blown that like this has been said to us as collegiate athletes, when we've done nothing but be extremely respectful and open to hearing about her experiences growing up as, you know, a lesbian in the country today. But like, when we're taking up practice time, you know, like, and
those things
kind of
shouldn't really be a part of necessarily
like coming at us and being like, you know, saying that we're spoiled brats, our parents didn't raise us right, for literally no reason, because we couldn't fundraise enough money for the fundraisers, assuming that we all just come from so much money. We literally had her as a coach for a couple of months, and she was sitting up screaming at us that we weren't fundraising money, because we literally, like, the fundraiser was literally asking our parents, which, mind you, all of the girls on the team are from different states pretty much, or I'm from Pittsburgh, so it's a 5-hour drive from my school. And the fundraiser was like a golfing tournament. There was a lot of families that like can't just up and just come in, fly in. It's not like it's like a 15-minute drive. It would be different if we were all like in the area, but it was hard to get everyone to pay and come, because who's flying in for that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It was like a day of golf. I get where she was coming from, but I also, for her to say your parents should be ashamed of how you raised or how they raised you. And she only knew us for a couple months at this point, never actually really talked to us. And just, it always came back to, do you know how hard it was for me? And it's just like, I just felt like everything, the experiences that we've had, I mean, that was one of a lot. And I kept my mouth shut the entire time, because I didn't want that affecting my playing time. And, you know, she literally, my Black roommate, she literally parted her mouth. She let everyone else apologize. And then when my roommate went to apologize and say she doesn't, like, she just literally parted her lips, and she got a hand right in the face, got told to shut up. Every time she speaks, it pisses her off. And I was just sitting there. I was like, thank God I have this mask on right now. My mouth literally dropped. But she denied that as well, right in front of my friend's mom, who drove up from Maryland to try to get her scholarship back that was unfairly taken away from her. Again, like, and it's hard also to talk about because it's just with the school, like, you know, like I don't want them to, but it's different because I'm not really a part of the athletic department as much anymore. But it's like also at the point where I'm still getting told things are happening to like my friends and really good girls and good players. And I'm like, it makes me sick. Like I tried to like not think about it, talk about it. But when I'm still hearing this, it literally just makes me sick that like there is no action being done towards it. To hell with every girl's collegiate career who's been playing their entire lives, you know, or have been training to play at this level. And then it's just completely taken away from them. And that's why I've never spoke up, because I said, if I were to tell her this issue, I would be the one that would get taken out of anything. Like it was very petty. Like if she didn't like you, if you didn't agree with every single thing that she said, you weren't on that court, no matter how good you were. She literally told us that she was only recruiting based off of personality and not skill. You've seen with everything going on lately that, you know, there's been so many suicides and it's just like not talked about, you know. People don't understand the impact that something that like their lifestyle, I mean, your sport when you are in college or even beforehand, like when you're getting recruited, is literally your life. Like people don't understand that whether you're D1, D2, D3, like your sport is all you do. I mean, that's why I literally struggled so badly to even get into a routine or to like feel okay after I quit, because I was just like, what the hell do I do now? Even like in the season though, like if I were to stay, I think I might have been even worse off. And that like, that's a hard to beat. Like that's hard to beat because the state that I was in after finally making my decision. And of course, like my parents loved to watch me play. Like, and I love to play too. So when I called them and I was just like, hey, I was like, it was just like one day I just like looked up in the mirror. I was like, I had tears coming out of my eyes. And I was like, is this really it? And I called my parents and I was like, hey, I've made my decision that I am going to go through with quitting. They were just like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? You know, and it sucks because like a lot of people also ask, why didn't you just transfer? That is also because I academically, you know, I'm trying to get in and out of college as fast as I can. A very good student. So, you know, I just didn't want to get put behind at all academically. Who wants to do the recruiting process twice? You know, it's already hell and more of the first time doing it. I mean, I didn't want to spend my whole summer looking into a whole other program. And also the program at my school for my academics is phenomenal. The exercise science department is, you know, I love it. So it was hard. I never wanted to go through with that, but that's why I do love my career. Like I get to stay in the athletic department. It's cool to like be around that and still working with athletes, but it still took me a while. Even when I would go like, I did some shadowing hours at the strength and conditioning at my school just before my internship this summer. It still was like kind of hard to like be like, this used to be me training in this room and, you know, preparing for the big game day. And, you know, and it's hard. There was also like there was another sports team that we did work with. And, you know, I did talk to them about their coach. The other girls, there was a sports team that also were having a lot of issues with their coach, and nothing changed for them at all. And then there was another team, and I was like, is this just like a stigma or like what is going on here? There was another coach who trains the field hockey team. And I was like, you know, I would come in and shadow for some of their lifts, and they loved their coach. It was like hurting my heart. I was like, it must be nice. Like I was like so jealous. Also, of course, like happy for them. At least somebody's getting a decent collegiate athletic experience. It's a tough topic. I mean, even my one friend who I also grew up and played travel ball with, she went to a smaller D2 school at Shippensburg and quit due to complications with the coach as well, because just being targeted like crazy. And she's also, you know, had all of the coaching experience that I've had too. So I don't know if it's like a division level, but like you said, it's definitely has to do with money. It's like, if you're not a team that's bringing us in all the cash, then like, who cares, you know?
Yeah, it's like the experiment. What can we do with this team that's just not necessarily as big as the other ones? It's insane. But I think that's why a lot of people do get into weightlifting and fitness based stuff, because it's like, it's me. It's me with all the responsibility. It's me with the accountability. It's me. You might have a coach or a trainer, but like, it's me doing it, and I get to
Oh
decide
yeah.
how much effort I put in. I get to decide, I'm always the number one player.
I absolutely love lifting. Like, that's literally, I mean, it turned in for when I was losing a bunch of weight. I was running a lot, and then all of a sudden I started picking up some weights, and I like noticed over time, I think because of that competitiveness, or just like improving in my strength, because I've always been so tiny. Like, even on my volleyball teams, tiniest player hands down. And when I did like team lifts and stuff when I was playing, I was not putting up those big numbers or anything like that. Over time, I'm like noticing, like, it was just kind of like something I was telling myself just to like look good or whatnot, or to just stay active. And then I noticed how happy, like, I could have the worst day ever. If I go in that gym and I PR, I'm like instantly like feel so much better. It does make me upset though that I like couldn't have used this for my sport to make me more powerful, and just like be able to change directions quicker, and be more explosive on the court. So I still like to do power a lot, and like explosiveness, solely for the fact that that's how I've always kind of trained my whole life, and my body's pretty used to it. I'm doing what I love now. I love being active. It's great for any mental distress. It's always been like my go-to. I just wanted to kind of even bring this to light. I don't, like, it doesn't have to be to millions and millions of people, because like you said, I think there is going to be a time where it happens. And, even if it wasn't for me, even if my situation wasn't fixed, I can't go back in time now. If future girls, that's all that I would hope for. Future girls that have worked literally so hard in their athletic careers, put the same amount of time that any male has, or anything, like, I just would hope that they will get to experience that and enjoy it. Just go out there and just kill it, and be worried about your sport. You don't need this, that, and the third to come in when you're doing your sport. That's the good thing about it. Like, why would you want to come into a practice and talk about things that have nothing to do with your sport? I used to go to practice and be like, you get a break from like the daily BS,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and really opening up about that experience. It's definitely not an easy thing to talk about in this day and age.
No, thank you so much for having me.